you've thought about your quadratic formula homework. And when you do, the discriminant is just like a piece of the quadratic formula. So it's this piece only. It has, you don't use this, you don't use this. It's literally only the chunk underneath the square root. Okay? And then there's three possibilities for your discriminant. The discriminant is positive. Okay, you get a number. That means there's two real roots. Here's a picture for you to think about it. Two real roots. It crosses twice. Okay, and that's when you get something like 3 plus or minus 4 over 2. And I told you, oh, you have to give me two answers. So 7 halves and negative 1 half. That's supposed to be a 1. Okay, and that's your two real roots. And I just made that up. I realize it doesn't match the picture. Okay, if your discriminant, if that b squared minus 4ac, only that part equals 0, let's say you get 2 plus or minus the square root of 0 over 2. Well, hopefully you notice that, and some of you left it this way. What's the square root of 0? The square root of 0 is 0. So now I have 2 plus or minus 0 over 2. Well, I can only do one thing. I can only add 0. Well, you could subtract 0, but you're going to get the same thing. So I get one answer. Okay, and this one probably does kind of match. It's right here. Okay, and the last one is if it's negative. So that's when you get something like 2 plus or minus 2i over 2. Okay, this is negative under there, and you have that I in there. That means although it has two roots, they're both imaginary. Or non-real. Okay, so those are your choices. So I'm just going to do an example for you. I may ask you, tell me what the discriminant is. And what is the nature of the roots? Nature means tell me what it is. Are they real? Are there two of them? Are there one? Or are there no real roots? Which means there's two imaginary roots. Okay, so what's the discriminant? So remember, r equals negative b plus or minus 4ac. Okay, this is our quadratic formula. This gives us the whole answer. The discriminant is just this part. Okay, so before we even find the answers, we can know what we're expected to find. Are we going to find real ones or imaginary ones? So A is 1, B is 7, C is 10. So we've got 7 squared minus 4 times 1 times 10. So I get 49 minus 40, which equals 9. So now you're going to ask yourself, is 9 a positive number? Is it 0? Or is it a negative number? I wrote a negative 1, but I just mean a negative number. So you're going to hopefully tell me that 9 is positive, which means I'm going to get two real roots. So number of zeros, 2. The type, they are real. I know because my discriminant was 9, which is a positive number, which means I get two real roots. Okay, what are my solutions? Well, now I can kind of keep going with my x equals negative b plus or minus, well, I already did that. B squared minus 4ac is 9 all over 2. So I should get negative 7 plus or minus 3 over 2. Remember, this gives me two answers. Negative 7 plus 3 over 2, which I think is negative 2. And then negative 7 minus 3 over 2, which I think gives me negative 5. And these are my two real roots. And they're real because negative 2 and negative 5 are real numbers. This one crosses the x-axis twice. You may have thought to yourself, I could factor x squared plus 7x plus 10. And again, we talked about this. My choice is usually to factor first. X plus 2 is what I would have done. X plus 5 if I would factor this. And then I would see that I would get the same answers. Is one more right than the other? Absolutely not. Okay, you choose what makes most sense to you. And again, if you want to program your calculator to give you these answers, that is something that you can search up There's videos on YouTube or just plain instructions on Google, and be able to program your calculator to give you these answers here. But you still need to understand what the discriminant is.